One of the great ways to take a good shot is to incorporate something significant in the foreground and something significant in the background, because it tells a better story, especially of where you are. So I'm looking around this beautiful place, and in the background I see a gorgeous tower. It kind of looks like we're in Europe or something, but we're not. We're in Pasadena, California. And so I am going to put that in the background, and I'm going to put my subject in the foreground, and I've got a great shot combining both of those things. All right, so here I'm not going to have to worry about light too much. In fact, I don't even have to use this flash, because why? The light on her is equally as strong as the light that's on behind her, that beautiful tower. So the two exposures match. The light on my subject is equal to the light on the tower. So I don't have to worry about adding any kind of light. I just have to make sure that her nose is towards that light in general, and I'm gonna get a good shot, okay? So here, I'm gonna put her in the foreground, and I've got a beautiful shot with her, putting her up in the sky as the Scott spot, but I have that tower in the background. Actually, can you try switching the other hand? Because what happens is that hand's covering the tower that I'm talking about. So there you go. So that's perfect right there. Good. Look out that way, right above my head, chin down a bit. Right there, good. And if you can lean towards me a bit, towards this way, yep, there you go. That's great, chin towards me, yep, good, perfect, look at me, good. Close your eyes, yeah, I love that right there. So now I can see her eyes when she closes her eyes, and it's not too bright. All right, so that's example of how to use your foreground and background in your compositions, putting something significant in the foreground, which is my subject, using the Scott spot, which is the sky, and having that beautiful tower in the background that tells a beautiful story of where I am. I know you've heard a lot about leading lines, but when you combine this awesome technique with also finding your Scott spot, it can create an awesome composition. So let me show you some examples of how to do this. Let's go to the Great Wall of China. And you can see in this picture here how they're leading lines right to my subject, and how I placed her head slightly below the wall. So her head would be right in the middle of that shape. And so now you've got that wall leading right to her. You've also how I posed to the subject, where I had her at slightly away from the wall to create a pleasing triangle, right? So the wall is here, and then I posed her here. So what happens is a diagonal shape creates a compelling line, so you want to view, and your eye goes across the whole page. So diagonals are very powerful in composition, using diagonals. This combines using a diagonal, and then I extended your eye, so I had her raise that umbrella, so it was clearly in that background space, so your eye goes up and through. And then your eye also kind of leads in and out with that Great Wall of China, creating some beautiful leading lines. Let's go to Paris now. And you know, you've seen a million pictures, I guess, of Notre Dame now that it's kind of burnt down. This is kind of a rarity, but they're building it back up again. And so whenever I go to such an iconic place like Paris, and you've seen so many shots of Notre Dame and the Eiffel Tower, I try to get off the beaten path and to take a picture of that iconic location somewhere you wouldn't expect it. So here I'm walking along the river, and what I want to do is take a picture and have my subject in the foreground and have Notre Dame in the background. And so what I do, I needed to create a clean space for her, so I put her against the wall so it would create a clean background for her. So now I have those beautiful leading lines of that walkway leading straight to her, and your eye also is leading to the Notre Dame. And so that's why I just love this picture, because you have leading lines leading to both the foreground image and the background image, and putting your subject in the Scott spot. So that's why this composition is so powerful, because you're using all of those techniques at once. Let's go to Cozumel, Mexico now. And so we're gonna shoot at sunset, and we love this pier because that's the main kind of focal and feature point of this resort that we were at. And so, okay, I gotta use this pier somehow in this photo. And I love the leading lines where it leads right to her. Now, where do I place her? Where are those little shapes that you find? Okay, well, one, there's a shape right in the ocean, but do I want to get my subject wet? Not really, and that's difficult. So I'm going to rule that shape out. Then there's the other shape of the sky, which is great. You see the sky here, but then you see those tiki lights kind of coming up. So if I put her over there, yeah, her head is in the sky, but then I'm competing with those little tiny tiki torch things, torch lights, and I go, that's not gonna be good. Let me just put her up at the front and make her large, and let me lean her against that pillar to create another diagonal, and which creates a pleasing pose. And I'll put her in that little space right there in the front, so there's a clean background, there's nothing behind her head. And then I'm gonna use the leading lines of that pier to lead right to her. This is an interesting leading lines example. It's not your typical, because you don't see, usually when you're using leading lines, you're using some sort of structure or architecture. In this case, I'm using leading lines, I'm using cacti. So we're at these gardens here, the Arboretum in Los Angeles, and I wanna kind of line up these cactus, right, to lead to my subject. So I put them a little bit further away. I love the color of these flowers on the ground. So what am I gonna do? I'm gonna put my camera lower on the ground so I can pick up that pink, right? And so now I have that cacti kind of leading straight to my subject, so your eye will go straight on them. And then you can see in the background, I have that little small texture of those plants there. Nothing kind of large to interfere with them. And so it's a clean background, not a completely clean background, but because the texture is so small and my subject is much larger than the texture, that it's gonna be fine. And you're shooting outdoors, so you're not expected to have, it's supposed to look organic, so it looks fine. This is different because I'm using the cacti to create leading lines. Let's go back to this famous bridge in Paris. And this bridge is very difficult to shoot at because there's thousands and hundreds of tourists and people just walking over this bridge all the time. So, as a photographer, you're thinking, how can I get my shot where there's not a bunch of people walking around? So instead of shooting on the main bridge, I just walk around to the corner and I find this little spot that not that many people are walking by. And so I am posing my subject there. I usually like to have my subject lean on something, so I see this structure that she can lean on, and there's really only one place to place her, right? Because there's that little sky to that right-hand side, and I have to use that clean backdrop there so she will totally pop out. If I put her anywhere else in that frame, there is going to be a lot of distracting elements behind her. So when you understand these rules, a lot of times you'll get into a situation, go, you know what, there's only one place for me to put my subject, and it's right there. Just by following these rules, and it's going to make your shooting much easier. So I place her there, I have my lighting set up. I literally take this shot within probably a minute. That just goes to show you that when you really know what to look for, you can get your shot off quite quickly. And I love those lampposts that create that awesome leading line across that page, across that image, and everything focuses right at her. And if you look at that little cherub statue that's above her, her toe points right at her too. So you've got a lot of things converging on her, which points right to her, and those leading lines and that little toe point right to her. Here's a hallway. Hallways are great ways to create leading lines. It's very straightforward, right? That's an easy thing to do. And sometimes when you have a hallway, especially with a curve in it, that looks really good. So nothing new here, but just an interesting perspective on how to shoot it. I'm shooting at a slightly up angle, so her head is in that ceiling, which is very clean. Now we're in downtown Los Angeles, and I'm shooting at a very iconic location, the Walt Disney Music Hall. And you know what? Sometimes you have to embrace the rain. Why? It was raining. We had this shoot planned, and we had a limo, and we had the gowns, and we had everything. It's like we can't cancel it. It starts to rain, but you know what? Sometimes negative things are a blessing in disguise. This place, there are tons of people at this place at all time. What did the rain do? The rain took away a lot of the tourists there. And so it's almost like, okay, it starts raining, everybody clears out, we got this whole place to ourselves. And not only that, it makes the ground look amazing. So you know what? It's like, I gotta capture this. So I'm taking an elevated view, right? I'm being like a bird, right? Shooting down on my subjects. I'm finding a nice clean spot where I can put my subjects. And I've got that leading line, that curve that goes right to the subjects. I put some nice video light on them. I pose them. I have them not look at the camera. When you have your subjects small in your frame, do not have them look at the camera. One, when they're not looking at the camera, it's a story. But when they do look at the camera, now it's a portrait. So if you're creating, let's say they're looking at the camera and it's a portrait, immediately when somebody's looking at the camera, you want to see them. And so you're like, wait, they're so small, I can't see them. So right away, when you have somebody very, very small in your frame looking at the camera, the first instinct is like, they're too far away, I can't see them. So don't do that. Create a story, have them not look at the camera, and now you are shooting photojournalistically, but you're doing portraiture. Okay, so that's just a little bit of a tip when you're composing photos and you have your subjects very small in the frame. Make sure that they're not looking in the camera. Get your cameras out, and we're gonna practice this exercise of leading lines. So you wanna find your Scott spot, but also you wanna find lines that will lead to your Scott spot, and then it will produce a compelling picture. This is what I find that people really need to work on. I find that we are knowledge rich, but skill deficient. We have a lot of knowledge, and so we need to take that knowledge and turn it into skill. Photography is just not about knowing things, it's about being able to do the skill. And that's where a lot of photographers fall short. So you literally have to get your camera and start shooting. Just don't accumulate this knowledge without turning it into skill. Right now, I'm going to go out on location and I'm going to show you how I find these leading lines in the real world, and so you can see an example of how I'm going to create these awesome compositions. We are here on location now, and this is a great example of leading lines. I'm going to use this window, and I love this window pane where it has kind of this framing that creates a leading line, but also it creates light on my subject. So I got killing two birds with one stone. And these lines right here just lead to my beautiful subject, Emma. And I can get a great picture. And then behind her, it has some beautiful buildings behind her, which show depth also. Turn your nose towards that light a little bit more. Beautiful. And now I've kind of got the best of both worlds here. Chin down a bit. I'm going to shoot at a lower angle. Turn your head this way a bit. Can you stretch out your neck just a tad and lower? Yeah, that's it right there. And I like shooting different angles too. I taking a higher angle and a lower angle. You're not quite sure what's going to work with you, but I'm going to use these leading lines. And then I even shoot portrait and I shoot landscape. And I got great continuous light, so I can kind of let the model do her thing. But this is a great way to use leading lines to create a great and a very strong composition, because those lines will lead straight to your subject and give you a great photo. Another great way to create impact into your compositions is, of course, using leading lines, and sometimes there's unconventional leading lines that are there that you don't really realize. And in this case, I love using this fern to create a leading line to my subject, especially because she's wearing red, and red and green are complementary colors, which is going to be strong in your composition. On top of that, you've also got these columns that create some leading lines too. Now, if you notice, behind her is a clean wall, and that could be my Scott spot. So I'm using the leading line to go to my subject, but also behind her I have a clean wall that I could use to make sure she really pops out of the page, pops out of the picture, because you want to keep it very, very clean behind your subject. That's the number one thing, and that's really how the Scott spot works, are picking clean areas to put your subject in front of. Okay, so right now I've got a nice little soft light coming in this way to illuminate her, so she'll be a little bit brighter than my background. And so I'm going to put the nose towards the light, right? And if I could have her just give me a nice shape, right? So a way to accentuate the shape is like pop your hip, perfect, right? And I'm going to place her right in that shape there. Perfect. And if you can look at me with your eyes, yep, like that right there is perfect. 1, 2, beautiful. And so I am going to take a different angles on this. I'm also going to use these columns here and these ferns to lead right into her. I'm going to change the position of my composition, and I'm going to shoot at landscape, and I'm using a very wide lens. So I'm going to show you how to take a portrait while still using a wide angle lens. And when you use a wide angle lens, you're able to kind of use more leading lines because you capture more a wider landscape. Okay, so I'm gonna shoot her right here. I've got her right in that spot there, and it looks beautiful. I'm just gonna add this light. Now, when you shoot with a wide angle lens, you wanna make sure that your subject is in the middle so her body is not distorted. So it's very important to keep her in the middle too. Turn your nose this way a bit because that light's coming right there. Good, beautiful. Look back at me. Keep your chin up right there. Turn your head this way and look back at me. Yeah, there you go. Right there. It's beautiful. So, awesome. Okay, so unconventional leading lines. I'm using this beautiful fern, and I'm also using the columns. I'm using the complementary colors with the red and the green. All contribute to taking this amazing shot using leading lines. So I'm using this fern as my leading line. I changed lens. Now I'm with a 50mm lens. And so now my Scott spot is a little archway that I'm putting her directly in. Okay? And so you kind of have to position yourself. I know there's people back there, but you can't even see them because her body is blocking the people. Turn your nose towards that light a little bit now. Beautiful. Gorgeous. And so I'm kind of shooting through the fern too, which gives me an interesting look too. And so that's another way of using a leading line to create an awesome composition. Usually when you think of leading lines, you think of a straight line. But in this case, I'm going to use this curved fountain as a leading line to my subject here. Now, in order for that leading line to really be exaggerated, I'm going to take a lower angle so that can really come out. But this fountain will lead right to my subject. And she looks gorgeous, of course. And I can put her right where that tree is, my Scott spot. So that leading line leads to her, and I've got a nice clean spot behind her, which is a tree, which is darker than her. She's brighter, a lot brighter than the spot behind her, so she's really gonna stick out. Beautiful. Let me take a shot here to see if I got that leading line. Yep. Can I have you, let's see. I like that. Let's do this. Let's try turning your body this way and then that way. Yeah. Good. And let's have the hand in the back up. Yeah. Actually, I'm shooting far away, so I kind of need a big pose. Like, yeah, there you go. And if you could raise it above your head a bit, just so it's a little bit bigger, perfect. 1, 2, 3, great. Let's take a couple more. You can change your arm shape. 1, 2, 3, good. How about one arm up and one arm down? There you go. And actually yeah, I like you're holding your dress right there. Perfect, and just a little bit more bend in the dress. So yeah, get the end of it, perfect. So what I'm trying to do is create a shape, so therefore I want that dress to kind of slouch a bit, so it's perfect. And then stretch out your arm just a little bit. Yeah, there you go. Big shape, perfect. And bring it in closer to you, like this again. Like rest your forehead, your back of your hand. Yeah, there it is. Good. And look towards me a little bit, right there, just off this way a bit, and look past my ear. There you go. 1, 2, 3. Okay, great. So this is using an unconventional leading line to set up your subject to make it look beautiful.